The Republic of Croatia is a sovereign state at the crossroads of Central Europe, Southeast Europe, and the Mediterranean that declared its independence from SFR Yugoslavia on June 25, 1991. Croatia is a member of the European Union, United Nations, the Council of Europe, NATO, the World Trade Organization, Union for the Mediterranean, as well as a number of many other international organizations. As of 2015, Croatia has established diplomatic relations with 174 countries. The main objectives of Croatian foreign policy during the 1990s were gaining international recognition and joining the United Nations. After these objectives have been achieved by year 2000, two main goals became NATO and EU membership. Croatia fulfilled both of these goals, first in 2009, second in 2013. Current Croatian goals in foreign policy are positioning within the EU institutions and in the region, cooperation with NATO partners, and strengthening multilateral and bilateral cooperation. History. Croatian foreign policy has focused on greater Euro-Atlantic integration, mainly entering the European Union and NATO, in order to gain access to European and transatlantic institutions. It has had to undo many negative effects of the breakup of Yugoslavia and the war that ensued, and improve and maintain good relations with its neighbors. Key issues over the last decade have been the implementation of the Dayton Accords and the Erdut Agreement, non-discriminatory facilitation of the return of refugees and displaced persons from the 1991–95 war, including property restitution for ethnic Serbs, resolution of border disputes with Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia and Montenegro, and general democratization. Croatia has had an uneven record in these areas between 1996 and 1999 during the right-wing HDZ government, inhibiting its relations with the European Union and the United States. Improvement in these areas severely hindered the advance of Croatia's prospects for further Euro-Atlantic integration. Progress in the areas of Dayton, Erdut, and refugee returns were evident in 1998, but progress was slow and required intensive international engagement. Croatia's unsatisfactory performance implementing broader democratic reforms in 1998 raised questions about the ruling party's commitment to basic democratic principles and norms. Areas of concern included restrictions on freedom of speech, one-party control of public TV and radio, repression of independent media, unfair electoral regulations, a judiciary that is not fully independent, and lack of human and civil rights protection. A center-left coalition government was elected in early 2000. The SDP-led government slowly relinquished control over public media companies and did not interfere with freedom of speech and independent media, though it did not complete the process of making Croatian radio-television independent. Judiciary reforms remained a pending issue as well. Major Croatian advances in foreign relations during this period have included admittance into NATO's Partnership for Peace program in May 2000, admittance into World Trade Organization in July 2000, signing of Stabilization and Association Agreement with the EU in October 2001, becoming part of NATO's Membership Action Plan in May 2002, becoming a member of the Central European Free Trade Agreement in December 2002, application for membership in the EU in February 2003, full cooperation with the Hague Tribunal, and the beginning of accession negotiations with the EU in October 2005. The EU application was the last major international undertaking of the Rakan government, which submitted a 7,000-page report in reply to the questionnaire by the European Commission. Foreign relations were severely affected by the government's hesitance in stalling of the extradition of Croatian General Janko Bobetko to the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, and inability to take General Ante Gotovina into custody for questioning by the court. Refugee returns accelerated since 1999, reached a peak in 2000, but then slightly decreased in 2001 and 2002. The OSCE mission in Croatia has continued to monitor the return of refugees and is still recording civil rights violations. Croatian Serbs continue to have problems with restitution of property and acceptance to the reconstruction assistance programs, combined with lacking economic opportunities in the rural areas of former Krajina. The return process is highly troubled. Accession to the European Union. At the time of Croatia's application to the European Union, 3 EU member states were yet to ratify the Stabilization and Association Agreement: United Kingdom, the Netherlands and Italy. The new SANADA government, elected in 2003 elections, repeated the assurances that Croatia will fulfill the missing political obligations, and expedited the extradition of several ICTY inductees. The European Commission replied to the answers of the questionnaire sent to Croatia on April 20, 2004 with a positive opinion. The country was finally accepted as EU candidate in July 2004. Italy and United Kingdom ratified the Stabilization and Association Agreement shortly thereafter, while the 10 EU member states that were admitted to membership that year ratified it altogether at a 2004 European summit. In December 2004, the EU leaders announced that accession negotiations with Croatia would start on March 17, 2005, provided that Croatian government cooperates fully with the ICTY. The main issue, the flight of General Gotovina, however, remained unsolved, and despite the agreement on an accession negotiation framework, the negotiations did not begin in March 2005. On October 4, 2005, Croatia finally received green light for accession negotiations after the chief prosecutor of the ICTY, Carla Del Ponte, officially stated that Croatia is fully cooperating with the tribunal. This has been the main condition demanded by EU foreign ministers for accession negotiations. The ICTY called upon other southern European states to follow Croatia's good example, thanks to the consistent position of Austria during the meeting of EU foreign ministers. A long period of instability and the questioning of the determination of the Croatian government to extradite alleged war criminals has ended successfully. Croatian Prime Minister Ivo Sanader declared that full cooperation with the Hague Tribunal will continue. The accession process was also complicated by the insistence of Slovenia, an EU member state, that the two countries' border issues be dealt with prior to Croatia's accession to the EU. Croatia finished accession negotiations on 30 June 2011, and on 9 December 2011, signed the Treaty of Accession. A referendum on EU accession was held in Croatia on the 22nd of January 2012, with 66% of participants voting in favor of joining the Union. The ratification process was concluded on the 21st of June 2013, and entry into force and accession of Croatia to the EU took place on the 1st of July 2013. Current events. The main objective of the Croatian foreign policy is positioning within the EU institutions and in the region, cooperation with NATO partners and strengthening multilateral and bilateral cooperation. Government officials in charge of foreign policy include the Minister of Foreign Affairs and European Integration, currently Miro Kovac, and the President of the Republic, currently Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović. Croatia has established diplomatic relations with 174 countries. As of 2009, Croatia maintains a network of 51 embassies, 24 consulates and 8 permanent diplomatic missions abroad. Furthermore, there are 52 foreign embassies and 69 consulates in the Republic of Croatia in addition to offices of international organizations such as the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, International Organization for Migration, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, World Bank, World Health Organization, International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, United Nations Development Programme, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and UNICEF. International organizations. Republic of Croatia participates in the following international organizations: CEK, EAPC, EBRD, ECE, EU, FAO, G11, IADB, IAEA, IBRD, ICAO, ICC, ICRM, IDA, IFAD, IFC, IFRCS, IHO, ILO, IMF, IMO, INMARSAT, Intelsat, Interpol, IOC, IOM, ISO, ITU, ITUC, NAM, NATO, OAS, OPCW, OSCE, PCA, PFP, SECI, UN, UNAMSIL, UNCTAD, UNESCO, UNIDO, UNMEE, UNMOGIP, UPU, WCO, WEU, WHO, WIPO, WMO, WTO, WTO. There exists a permanent representative of Croatia to the United Nations. Foreign support. Croatia receives support from donor programs of European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, European Union, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, International Monetary Fund, USAID. Between 1991 and 2003, the EBRD had directly invested a total of €1,212,039,000 into projects in Croatia. In 1998, U.S. support to Croatia came through the Southeastern European Economic Development Program, whose funding in Croatia totaled $23.25 million. More than half of that money was used to fund programs encouraging sustainable returns of refugees and displaced persons. About one-third of the assistance was used for democratization efforts, and another 5% funded financial sector restructuring. In 2003, USAID considered Croatia to be on their glide path for graduation, along with Bulgaria. Its 2002, 2003, 2004 funding includes around $10 million for economic development, up to $5 million for the development of democratic institutions, about $5 million for the return of population affected by war, and between $2 and $3 million for the mitigation of adverse social conditions and trends. A rising amount of funding is given to cross-cutting programs in anti-corruption, slightly under $1 million. The European Commission has proposed to assist Croatia's efforts to join the European Union with €245 million from PHAIE, ISPA and SAPARD aid programs over the course of 2005 and 2006. International disputes. Relations with neighboring states have normalized somewhat since the breakup of Yugoslavia. Work has begun, bilaterally and within the Stability Pact for Southeastern Europe since 1999, on political and economic cooperation in the region. Bosnia and Herzegovina. Discussions continue between Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina on various sections of the border. The longest border with another country for each of these countries. Sections of the Una River and villages at the base of Mount Pljesevic are in Croatia, while some are in Bosnia, which causes an excessive number of border crossings on a single route and impedes any serious development in the region. The Zagreb-Bihać split railway line is still closed for major traffic due to this issue. The border on the Una River between Hrvatska Koštajnica on the northern Croatian side of the river and Bosanska Koštajnica on the southern Bosnian side is also being discussed. A river island between the two towns is under Croatian control, but is also claimed by Bosnia. A shared border crossing point has been built and has been functioning since 2003, and is used without hindrance by either party. The Herzegovinian municipality of Nim in the south makes the southernmost part of Croatia an exclave, and the two countries are negotiating special transit rules through Nim to compensate for that. Recently, Croatia has opted to build a bridge to the Pelješac Peninsula to connect the Croatian mainland with the exclave, but Bosnia and Herzegovina has protested that the bridge will close its access to international waters and has suggested that the bridge must be higher than 55 meters for free passage of all types of ships. Negotiations are still being held. Italy. The relations between Croatia and Italy have been largely cordial and friendly, although occasional incidents do arise on issues such as the Istrian exodus of the ecological and fisheries protection zone. Montenegro. Croatia and Montenegro have a largely latent border dispute over the Prevlaka Peninsula. Serbia. The Danube border between Croatia and Serbia is in dispute, particularly in Baranja, the island of Vukovar and the island of Sarangrad. Slovenia. Croatia and Slovenia have several land and maritime boundary disputes, mainly in the Gulf of Piran. Regarding Slovenian access to international waters, a small number of pockets of land on the right-hand side of the river Dragonja, and around the Sveta Gera Peak, Slovenia was disputing Croatia's claim to establish the Ecological and Fisheries Protection Zone, an economic section of the Adriatic. Other issues that have yet to be fully resolved include Croatian depositors' savings in the former Ljubljanska Banka, diplomatic relations, Europe, Africa, Asia, Middle East, Central Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, Oceania, Americas, Caribbean, Latin America, North America. No diplomatic relations. Croatia has not established diplomatic relations with these 21 UN member states. Croatia has not established diplomatic relations with these 9 states with limited recognition.